Hello, and thank you for joining us for our SANS International Women's Day celebration live stream. I'm Delisha Hodo, and in honor of International Women's Day, I'm joined by some of the most wonderful women here at SANS Institute, who will introduce themselves shortly. But before we get started, I did want to acknowledge the reason why we're all here and the importance of this conversation. In case you didn't know, every year March is designated as Women's History Month by presidential proclamation, meaning that this month is set aside to honor women's contributions in American history. Currently, women are standing at the front lines of this crisis called COVID-19 as healthcare workers, caregivers, innovators, and some of the most exemplary and effective national leaders today are combating the pandemic, highlighting some of the burdens that women carry. But today, we are choosing to spotlight several women who lead and support our efforts here at SANS and in the world of cybersecurity. So I'm excited for you all to introduce yourselves and do a little Q&A. Kate, if you don't mind kicking us off.
Not at all. Hi, so my name is Kate Marshall. I'm the Curriculum Operations Director over at SANS. I've essentially been with the company since 2007, although I did take a couple of years off to raise some babies in between, but came back and so happy to be back at SANS. I work closely on developing our courseware, building the community and the instructors, and I've also, while at SANS, built and sold some businesses in the past. I've authored a few children's books and just kind of never want to do just one thing.
That's awesome, a jack of all trades for sure. And Kat?
Hello, so my name is Kathryn Hedley. I am not American, as you may tell by the accent. I'm lead author on FOR 308, which is one of the new SANS courses released last year, and that is Digital Forensic Fundamentals. So I've been more involved with SANS over the last year. We've been developing that course since around about 2017, so some time now, but it's my great pleasure to have that released last year, and we're now teaching that. So I, along with my co-authors Jason and Phil, are teaching that on a regular basis.
Thank you, Kat. And make sure those of you out there who want to have SANS training, look for Kat. She's great. And now Caitlin.
Hi, thank you. My name is Caitlin Boyce. I came into SANS through the Women's Immersion Academy, actually, and I have been working for them to support their Cyber Start program. So that means things like Cyber Start Game and Foundations, which is a new learning program that we have. So I am excited to be here and excited to be here with all these awesome ladies.
Thank you, Caitlin. And Minap?
Hi, I'm Minap Nguyen. I am a certified SANS instructor with SANS since, over 5 years now. I've been teaching and instructing for SANS almost 10 years. When I'm not instructing for SANS, I run and operate my own IT cybersecurity firm. We support organizations in cybersecurity and IT services for large enterprises to mid-sized enterprises. So yeah, I teach more often than not, once to every other month. And I'll actually teach Management 512, which is our security leadership track. So that's a little bit about me.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you all for those great intros. Now for the fun, a little Q&A. I'm going to go back to you, Minap. How is your role as a leader in SANS, challenging you to change the landscape for not only women, but also girls?
So I believe the challenge that I look at is trying to embrace our individuality as a gender itself, and take and embrace some of those components, and also work through my areas of challenges of there's chips on my shoulders, right? So as I went through and grew in the ranks of security, I joined in cybersecurity when I was in my early 20s. And there's a lot of course, challenges that comes along with being a female. And there's a lot of those chips that I've gained through the years that as a leader in the industry and leader in SANS, I try to acknowledge those challenges and be sure that I don't take it to heart too much and try to really embrace some components. So to give you an example, I remember, when I was younger, I was at DEF CON And I've never heard the term booth babe before. And I was asked like, oh, are you one of the booth babes? And at the time I was really insulted by it. And looking at it from a very personal perspective, because I was really proud to be in industry, be technical, know what it was. And this was, 20 years back. So I, really didn't have the maturity to really understand the various components of, hey, being a female was very rare in an industry that is very male dominant, and I took it too personal. And so one of the challenges is like to really embrace some of those chips on my shoulders. Also be it in the way that I can relate to females in the industry right now, and understand that it's okay for us to be females, and then there is some changes that need to be there. So the challenge that I take on with regard to that is that with SANS, it is about embracing our gender, embracing who we are as an individual, and bringing our personal lives into our teachings and bringing our personal experience into the growth that we take. So that's one area that I look at and see that for women and young girls, it's to help them embrace the fact that they are females, embrace the fact that who they are, whether they look a certain way or they are, deemed to be identified as a certain position, is to be very good about just being okay with who they are, and just focusing on their passion.
I love that. Living in your truth and being proud to be a strong woman that you are. I love it. Thank you so much. And Caitlin?
Yeah, as I mentioned before in my intro, I'm really lucky because all of my experience with SANS has been because of Women in Cyber initiatives. So my first experience was through the Women's Immersion Academy, and then when I was brought on as an employee, it was to support the Girls Go Cyber program, which has since been turned into Cyber Start America. So I've kind of been spoiled in that I've been consistently in an environment where I've been surrounded by women and girls who are interested in the field and also supporting each other's journeys. So I think for me, the challenge that I generally have for myself is always how to better reach people in communities that don't have that support yet, as well as trying to be as thoughtful about, or to be thoughtful about diversity in tech in a way that goes beyond just me identifying as a woman, and then how I can use my platform and position to make sure that underrepresented communities are given the same support and experience that I was kind of lucky enough to really almost stumble into. So my favorite thing that I've been able to do, I think even just because of the pandemic even, is I've gotten to do a lot of outreach and talk to groups nationally about cybersecurity and STEM. And even if it's just so that girls know what's available and accessible to them, because I think it becomes easy to take for granted what's possible when you get to a certain position. But it's really important to give girls that visibility and representation and sense of potential as early as possible.
And thank you for that. And for those of you that missed it, Girls Go Cyber is now Cyber Start America, and that competition is still open. So if you have any high school students, we definitely encourage them. There's still time to compete and earn scholarships for college. So thank you, Caitlin. And Kat?
I think for me, when I first started out in digital forensics back in 2008, it really was a male field. I didn't have any female colleagues at that point in time. And the first time I really came across women in cyber really was through SANS. I did my first SANS course in 2013, which was the DIFA Prague Summit, which is an amazing summit. It's not quite on the scale of the DIFA Summit in Texas, but it is the kind of next best thing, the European version. And just going there and seeing Heather teaching smartphone forensics, seeing Sarah teaching Mac forensics, seeing Katie teaching the cyber threat stuff. And actually a lot of the forensic faculty in forensics are women. And that was just kind of amazing to me that there were so many of these great women to look up to in information security and specifically in digital forensics. And I think for any women or girls looking to start out, looking to go into these sorts of fields, and maybe they can be put off because historically it is a male dominated field, but I think seeing women out there, seeing women already giving talks at summits, writing courses, authoring courses. So there are a few of us are saying deeper who are authoring the courses, instructing, teaching, leading their respective fields. I think that's amazing. For me, that certainly made a difference. And I really hope that I can just help to encourage the next generation, really, and get more people to sign up, get involved, and just have an amazing career.
Definitely. Thank you, Kate.
Yeah, so as a manager, I think the most eye-opening thing that I've learned is that nobody has all of the answers. I mean, we are really all just winging it. And men naturally exude so much more confidence than women do. We naturally step back more. We don't want to be the center of attention or take the seat at the table, but we need to. And we need to get better at knowing our value. We need to get better at negotiating for ourselves and finding the confidence. And so that's something I would hope to help shine a light on, is that true leadership, I mean, it's about defining the mission, the goal, working together with your team. And I wish more women were aware that the confidence is phony. It's fake. it's all kind of made up. And that's just been my experience. What I've seen is that we are literally all winging it, and guys are just better at hiding it. No.
That's a great point you made, that we're all just winging it. Some people just hide they're winging it better than others, but we're all on the same level playing field. So thank you for that. And I know for myself as a Black woman coming into this world of cybersecurity, from an advising and advocacy standpoint, I feel like it's extremely vital, as you said, to kind of step outside of your comfort zone and to let women and girls who look like me know that, there's a place for you in this field, that you belong in this field and you're capable of leading in this field, like all of you are leading in this field, because I see it every day, with the Marys over at Minorities in Cybersecurity, from Tanisha over at Black Girls Hack, to Mary Calloway and Camille Stewart. Like, there's so many different examples of women in leadership who are showing excellence, that I feel like it's my role to uplift and encourage more of us into this world as well. So thank you all for those great answers to that first question. And with that, cybersecurity is such a young field and industry full of potential. Kat, how do you challenge yourself and pick your challenges in this field?
I think the challenges generally find me, if I'm honest. I think by nature of digital forensics, I'm often given something a bit different to solve. There's always something. Recover files from this broken hard drive, analyze this encrypted system, and that's what I love about the job. You've got no 2 days the same. There's always some new challenge to solve, and just try and fix a real world problem. And I think that's part of, say, what makes the field awesome. In terms of me finding challenges, which, I kind of just do what interests me. And I think hopefully if I find something interesting, then somebody else will as well. It might be based on a real world problem. And these are things I talk about in FOR 308, just interesting case studies and things that really there was a big problem to solve. Or just something that piqued my interest. So at the minute, I'm writing a talk for a summit that's in a couple of months. And really that just came about because a friend of mine bought a new phone. That's literally what happened. He bought a new mobile device, and I thought, you know what? I have no idea how to analyze that. So I'm going to go away, work it out, and then give a talk because maybe somebody else is interested. And I think that's probably typical of the digital forensic community as well, which again is awesome. That's just how it works.
All right. Thank you. Minap?
Yeah, so, I started in cybersecurity almost 20 years ago, and cybersecurity back then was considered the step-redheaded child. And so at that time, no one wanted cybersecurity. No one wanted to have anyone who was representing cybersecurity in the room. And so challenges I experienced then have morphed a little bit. Back then, cybersecurity was considered overhead, not only overhead on overhead, but overhead on overhead on overhead, meaning, IT was considered overhead already. Now I had to have some cybersecurity, and really cybersecurity was just there to monitor and narc my activity on the internet. And so the challenges back then that I faced was a lot of adoption to just doing simple things like patching, and just doing simple things like doing backups. People didn't want to back up their logs. And so I don't see that changing through as we morph. Now there's just a better understanding, and now there's a lot more individuals on the team, on the cybersecurity team. So the challenges I look at is to stop just pushing so hard and trying to influence it in a way that the challenges are there to have people understand the realistic components of security, understand where they're coming from, and then pick the challenges in a sense that look what's important to them. So, I learned this from my mom. You can hit water forcefully and it hurts your hand, or you can hit it softly and you can get in and penetrate. So just like anything in our industry, we need to do the same. We got to be able to softly penetrate our ideas and our perspective, like with slow, gradual gestures and ideas and continuous communication in a way that it makes sense and value for individuals. So I find that the challenges are continuously there in the industry. I've seen that one of the biggest challenges that we've seen continuous since I've taken over security. I was very fortunate to lead and manage the security operations and program for a federal government entity at a young age. And even at that time, there was lack of talent. There was a lack of individuals who wanted to work in cybersecurity, yet there was a huge need. And now we're finding that becoming still a situation. So that challenge is still there as it relates to how do we deal with challenges of individuals who want to get in? How do we deal with challenges of individuals who are talented, but they're so in high popular demand that you as an entity, as an organization or a business can't afford that individual. And so those are different challenges that we face. And so how do I pick and choose challenges is to look at what is a priority of that time, that day, and focus it on what makes sense as a whole.
Thank you. A lot of gems there. Caitlin?
Yeah, I would say I think Kate really touched on some things that I personally find challenging when she was talking about how we're all just winging it, and some people are better at pretending than others. And for me, the challenge has consistently been to not always try to fool people into thinking I'm the smartest person in the room, and that for me is just not being afraid to ask questions, which is terrifying for me because I hate the feeling of thinking that I might be the only person in that room who doesn't know the answer to something. But very, very often that's actually not the case, and everybody else is in the same position. So for me, it's been learning to embrace and really find value in those experiences where I'm not the smartest person in the room, because whatever anybody tells you about the field, you will be consistently learning the rest of your career, because things change so quickly and there's no one out there who knows everything about everything. That's just not where we're at in tech at this point. So really finding value when you find somebody who knows more than you, or you find a group of people who know more than you, and learning to take that as an experience to learn and not feel ashamed of not knowing something, and not letting that also make you feel like you don't belong in that room, are really, really valuable. But it's a challenge. That's a really weird, uncomfortable feeling to try to get over. And that's something I've had, not even just in tech, like really forever, ever in academia and in a professional setting. So that is my challenge in general to myself, is forcing myself to ask questions when I am scared to ask a question.
Yes, thank you. That's powerful. And I believe a lot of us can relate to that in various ways. So thank you for sharing that and being vulnerable and saying, hey, this is my fear, when we all share a similar fear. So I definitely appreciate that. And Kate?
Yeah. So I am consciously trying to do more things that get me out of my comfort zone, challenge myself and develop my skills, because you have got to invest in yourself. So I'm taking on projects that I might not otherwise. So it's forcing me to learn. I'm acknowledging the pain of it and trying to enjoy the pain of it. Because when I find that I'm too comfortable, that means it's time to shift. I'm not learning, I'm not growing. And I've got a list of things that I want to get better at. And so sometimes it's as simple as, I don't know how to do this thing in Smartsheet. Let me go YouTube and figure it out. But it's continuously putting yourself in positions to force yourself to grow.
Right. That's another gem. Having that growth mindset and not being afraid to take the leap of faith of the unknown.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. And I know, for me, similar to what a lot of you have said, I like to choose challenges based on what will have the greatest impact in a positive way towards someone's life. How can I be a support and not be a hindrance to one's growth? So whenever I'm tackling challenges or similar to Kate, what you said, stepping outside of my comfort zone and learning things that I'm unaware of is how I not only challenge myself, but also just challenge the field and say, hey, how can I make the greatest impact? How can I uplift others? And how can I make sure that I am contributing to one's growth and not hindering anyone from being successful? And my last question, Caitlin, what's your advice for women looking to start a career in cybersecurity?
So I got into cybersecurity, interested in cybersecurity because of playing CTFs and doing capture the flag. So I always recommend those. I think they're really cool. I think they're a great way to hone your skills and learn and find new experiences. And the other thing that I would say is just to find your community, whether you're lucky enough to have a local community or whether you find that online. Just find people to be curious with who help support you and help you learn and lift you up. Even just seeing the other women on the screen, I immediately feel so close to them because I know we have some shared experience and that we have this kind of unique perspective on the field. And I would also say just learn to really embrace your individuality and the diversity of where you came from, because it's super valuable. Your perspective and your viewpoints and your opinions are so valuable and often missing.
Thank you. Kate?
Yeah, so just doubling down on what Caitlin said, I absolutely agree with getting involved with your local chapters, attending events. I think if you are completely just starting out in the industry or just totally new to it, start following the industry experts on social and start learning the lingo and seeing who's in the space. Surround yourself with that kind of information and just start to absorb it. One of the challenges, there's so many different avenues that you can take in cybersecurity. I mean, there's digital forensics, you could get into hacking, you could get into, the software development side of it. And it's hard to answer that question without getting the exposure. And once you see all of the different things that you can do, you're naturally going to gravitate towards a certain topic and just get out there. And we have a great resource at sans.org/free where you can just immerse yourself in all of the tools and webcasts and programs and academies. And I mean, there's so many different things that you can do, but my advice is just start, just get in there.
Thank you, Kate. And we also have cyber camps for our teenagers out there, for our cyber girls or cyber guys. So definitely check out sans.org/free and be able to keep tabs on the different summer camps that we have and cyber camps that we have frequently throughout the year. So thank you.
Yeah, and actually, I forgot, I wanted to plug one more thing. So we have our New to Cyber Summit coming up in April, and it is exactly what you need. We're building it out to showcase all of the ways that you can get into cyber and start to dive in with the workshops and things that you can learn. And it's on the SANS website. It's also mentioned on SANS Free. But that is probably one huge component and huge tool that you can use.
Yes, thank you for that reminder. Yes, please sign up. Join us for that at April 21st. We're going to have 2 tracks and a panel, so you can hear from some great individuals who are also new to cyber, who can give you some more advice like you're getting today. And Minap.
Yeah, so I echo Kate and Caitlin with regards to go out there and get involved. Go to professional chapters and try to get immersed with regards to the industry to understand the different components of cyber. I've said this various times. In cybersecurity, it's such a huge breadth of a field. There's cybersecurity in every aspect, from the very technical, being a pen tester, defender, or forensics individual, to soft skills, having to be a manager and being able to articulate your methodology and your approach and your value to a business and organization. So those are various components that comes in from being an auditor, looking at risk, looking at all those various components that matters to a company and an organization. But what I also encourage everyone to do is find a mentor, and not only a mentor, but a champion. So there's mentors, there's a lot of individuals who are very happy to give advice, but how can they champion you as an individual? I was very fortunate to start at a young age. I started in my early 20s, and I joined an organization and a company at that time was Bechtel, and they were big about finding their next leaders. And so they called us the next gen. And so I was fortunate that they selected mentors for me. And selecting mentors was something that I was new to. It was something that, being in college, you didn't really learn about having a mentor until like you got out. And I joined the workplace, and I was fortunate that Bechtel at that time said, we'll give you some mentors. And the mentors helped give me an understanding of what day-to-day roles are for certain individuals and positions that I want to take on and grow into. What did that mean? Like outside of my current organization, Bechtel being a large engineering federal government entity, they had a lot of organizations. So I wanted to see what was outside this organization I was working for. And then I found that the mentors that were female were a lot more helpful to me because they could relate to some of my challenges. And so, I'm not saying that just get only one mentor, get a mentor that gives you a different perspective, someone that who will also champion for your growth and champion for your career and be your ultimate supporter in the industry because they can relate. So internships is a good way to get some mentors. I mentor individuals. I am with the university advisory board for both the IT, MIS, and cybersecurity board. And so I take on mentorship with these students. And so people coming in, they assume that, I want to be a hacker. So I have to be like that 8-year-old hacker and be really technical to get into the field. That's not necessarily so. You can get into the field, and there's a lot of strengths that we have and we can leverage for anyone who wants to be on any part of the cybersecurity, be a defender, be a pen tester, be someone who wants to be in the role of a manager, like a project manager or influencer, like being in security awareness. So those are very key areas to think about, and just don't think about, I'm not technical. I've never hacked a device before, so I can't get in. And that's just not how it works. You don't have to be Mr. Robot. You don't have to be Neo and the Matrix to be in it. So you can be in and be very effective and valuable. You just need a good mentor and champion.
Thank you, Minap and Kat.
I think the first thing I would say is don't listen to self-doubt. Don't be put off. Just do it. And then I think to echo what everyone else has really already said, keep learning. Learning is something. There's so many ways of doing it. You can attend. There's so much free stuff out there. As Kate's already mentioned, SANS have webcasts. Every summit for SANS this year, I think, is free with the pandemic. There are things that have started up just because of the pandemic, things like PancakesCon. We've got Control-Alt-Delete that Heather runs. You've got Cash Up. And there's all of these resources that are just there. So make use of them and go and listen to all of the cool stuff that's happening. And again, to echo, get involved. And I think networking really is key. Again, there are many resources out there, things like This Week in Forensics. My co-author, Phil Moore, does a bunch of research every week and just gives everyone else a list of resources in digital forensics that are interesting for that week. So I don't have to go and do my own research. I just go and steal all of his ideas because he's already done the work, so I don't need to. And look at all of those things. If you're interested in something, do your own research. Go and give a talk. There are tracks. So PancakeSCon is set up for people starting out. There are conferences we've mentioned. There's one in April that SANS are running for people new to the field. There are others out there that have tracks for beginners, for people who haven't given talks before. And I think they are amazing opportunities. Don't be too nervous. It's a really good thing to do. Everyone has to start out somewhere. And I think if you do your own research and show what you can do and show things that you're interested in, again, that's a really good thing to do. And I think as well as getting involved in the community and people following people in information security fields, in management field, in whatever career you want, following people on Twitter and things like that is awesome and will give you a lot of information as well. And I think there are also other communities that are kind of on a tangent to those that you can also get involved in. And again, it's a good way to network with people and just get to know who people are. So I think that can be less about, or as a sideline, it's about getting to know people in the community, but you're kind of getting to know them based on shared interests. So a good example of that, and I'm wearing my t-shirt, which you may or may not see from here, D4Fit t-shirt. So I've got to know a lot more people, I think, in the digital forensic and incident response community through D4Fit, and that's just a group of people who are a bit crazy about doing exercise and also have an interest in digital forensics and incident response, or blue team or purple team, or there's now red team fit, which is a similar side for the red teamers. All of these groups are out there and it's really, really easy to get involved. In D4Fit, we've run a couple of virtual challenges over the last couple of years, particularly with the pandemic. We wanted to get people motivated and walking, because they are fields as well where you sit at a desk all day and just type on a computer, so walking is good. So yeah, it's just a way to get to know people and get involved again in the community without necessarily having any sort of expectations or anything in terms of the field itself. Anyone can do it, anyone can get involved, and it doesn't matter if you haven't done it before. It doesn't matter if you haven't spent 10 years doing forensics or anything else. It's just another way of reaching out and connecting, which is always a good idea.
Thank you. And I don't want to repeat because you all have pretty much covered the whole nine, but what I will do is plug two things. Utilize your local library, and also take a chance and apply to our Women's Academy. The application is open now, or to our Diversity Cyber Academy. Network at these free summits that we're hosting and other organizations are hosting in the field. And, finally, don't be afraid to show and shine your light, because you are important and you will be valuable, and you are valuable to someone. And why not come be valuable in this field as well? And with that, I'll just close by saying, thank you so much to you all for joining us. I hope you all remember these lovely faces. These are some of the women of SANS, some superstars for sure. And I just want to also let you all know that in honoring women, the National Women's Alliance typically selects a theme each year. And this year's theme is Choose the Challenge. And I don't know if you all caught the conversation that we've been having, but I've been hearing a lot of ways to conquer the challenges that we all have and challenges that you may be facing. And it's very important for us to know that we're in a challenged world, and that this challenged world is an alert world. And individually, we're all responsible for our own thoughts and actions. And with those choices, we can all choose to challenge and call out gender bias, inequality. We can choose to seek out and celebrate women's achievements, and collectively, we can choose to create an inclusive world. So from that challenge comes change. So let's all choose to challenge. Let's all choose to celebrate women, not just this month or not just today, but every day. Again, Thank you, lovely ladies, so much again. Shout out to SANS for having these wonderful superstars on the team. You can't go wrong with them. Make sure you follow them, reach out to them if you need anything. And again, if you need free resources and want to learn how to get into cybersecurity, check out sans.org/free and join us for our multiple summits and academies that we have this year. Thank you.